Will you leave, or must I call the police?
That will not be necessary. We're on our way to the police station now.
The wounds found on Lady Penrose's throat are identical with those found on the throats of the dead sheep. Now, I'm not a superstitious man, Mr. Holmes, but I don't know of any weapon capable of inflicting such wounds, except an animal's claw.
Of course, it could be done by a five-pronged garden weeder.
Not that garden weeder, Mr. Holmes. That's mine. I use it to weed the garden at the back of the jail.
I'm inclined to agree with the Sergeant, Holmes. A weapon such as that would have severed the jugular vein, and death would have followed immediately.
Lady Penrose lived long enough to drag herself to the church and toll the bell in a frantic effort to call for help.
Yes, I know all about that. But there must be some logical motive instead of all these goblins and monsters. Sergeant, have you ever heard of Lillian Gentry?
No, I can't say that I have, Mr. Holmes.
She was a famous actress who came to America some time ago. She appeared for many years in the United States and Canada. Then suddenly she disappeared. Her disappearance was never explained, and she was soon forgotten.
But what's the connection between Lillian Gentry's disappearance and the death of Lady Penrose?
Lillian Gentry and Lady Penrose are one and the same person.
The same person?
Precisely. One more question, Sergeant. Do your files show anyone with a prison record living in La Mort Rouge?
No, Mr. Holmes. The only person having any connection with a prison is Emile Journet. He came here 2 years ago with his daughter and bought the hotel. He was a guard at Talon Prison.
Thank you, Sergeant.
I hear there are a lot of prairie chicken in these parts. I'd like to have a bag of them someday.
I think that can be arranged, though.
Yes, we can stop over to the farmyard and you can shoot all the chickens you want.
That's all very funny, Holmes.
Here you are, old fellow. We're going to engage rooms at Monsieur Journet's hotel.
Landlord! I say landlord! Place seems deserted.
Won't be for long if you billow like that.
Landlord! Oh, sorry, Holmes. Got to try and make summer.
Yes, monsieur?
My dear, have you got a room for us?
Yes, monsieur.
Good.
Sign here, please.
I'll sign for us both.
Oh, thank you. You seem very young to be in charge here.
Yes, monsieur.
You are Mademoiselle Journet?
Marie's your name, monsieur.
My dear, you've been crying. Why?
Papa's going away.
Oh, come now. Is that such a tragedy?
Did you cry if your papa were going away, Watson?
I don't believe so.
This way, monsieur. Bring your bags, please.
Yes, of course.
Wouldn't I be unhappy if my father were seen my father for years? Father died about 20 years ago in Cheltenham.
Some talk of Alexander and some of Hercules, of Victor and Lysander, such great names as these.
Bills.
That's the way it goes, Emile. It costs money to be born, and it costs money to die.
Do you know who that was in the car? It was Sherlock Holmes. He's here now. What do you think he'll find?
Ghosts and monsters. What else is there for him to find? There's nothing.
I don't know.
You're afraid, Emile.
Of course I am, and so are you.
Who isn't?
Why should Sherlock Holmes come here?
To investigate the death of Lady Penrose. What else? I'm afraid Mr. Holmes will return to London a sadder but a wiser man.
Why do you say that?
Well, you can't arrest ghosts and monsters, can you now? Well, I'm on my way. The mail must be delivered. Some talk of Alexander, some of Hercules.
That's better. This room gives me the creeps.
It is very seldom used, monsieur. It isn't often that strangers come to Le Mort Rouge, and when they do, they never stay.
I can't say that I blame them.
Will your father be away for long?
I don't know, monsieur.
When is he leaving?
I don't know.
Marie!
If you need anything, just ring, monsieur.
That girl's frightened, Holmes.
Obviously. She made the mistake of telling us that her father was leaving.
Huh? You don't think that Journet...
Suppose we have a little talk to Monsieur Journet. It might prove illuminating.
Didn't I tell you not to answer any questions?
Yes.
Didn't I tell you to keep a silent tongue in your mouth?
Yes, Papa.
So you told them I was going away?
Yes, Papa.
I'll teach you to keep your mouth shut.
Monsieur Journet, Just why are you leaving La Mort Rouge at this particular time?
I'm not leaving. What gave you the idea that I was?
Your daughter?
My daughter's mistaken. I merely said that I would like to go away. I've just been teaching her the difference.
Yes, so I observed.
I can't say that I approve of your method, sir.
I'll ask you to mind your own business. Run along, dear.
Oh, there, my dear. Disgraceful, hitting a child.
Monsieur Journet is quite right. It's none of our business. Monsieur Journet, what do you know of the death of Lady Penrose?
Only what everyone in the village knows, that she was killed by the monster.
You've seen this monster?
No, but who else could have done this terrible thing? Sheep have been killed, their throats torn out.
You were a jailer at Talon Prison, weren't you?
Oh, yes, monsieur.
Why did you decide to come to La Mort Rouge?
Well, I always wanted to own a hotel, and I heard this one was for sale, so I bought it.
That was 2 years ago.
Yes.
I believe it was about the time the monster made his reappearance, wasn't it?
Do you suspect me of being the monster, Mr. Holmes?
No. I was just remarking a coincidence.
I thought you didn't believe in those things, Holmes.
Quite right, Watson, I don't. At least, not in the supernatural variety. Not the werewolf who bites into his victim's throat with his teeth. But, a monster who uses for his weapon of death a 5-pronged garden weeder. Yes, that's a little more in my line.
I don't know what you mean.
I mean that this monster's been recreated and used as a screen behind which to commit a horrible crime. Whoever did it felt certain that no suspicion could possibly fall on him. But my unexpected arrival upset his plans. Very possibly he became frightened, decided to run away.
You're right, monsieur. I was running away. But not for the reason you think, but in fear of my life.
And who would want to kill you?
I don't know. It's like some terrible premonition. But it's so real.
The very word, it's in Lady Penrose's letter.
Yes. That still doesn't explain this garden weeder.
I swear to you, I know nothing about its being here.
Haven't we better send for that fellow, Sergeant Thompson?
No, Watson, that won't be necessary. Monsieur Journet knows as well as we do that you can't run away from yourself. Oh, would you be so good as to return this to Sergeant Thompson, monsieur? I took it away quite by accident.
Monsieur Journet knows as well as we do. You can't run away from yourself.
This fellow Journet seems a very frightened chap. Do you think he'd have any connection with Lady Penrose's murder?
Time will tell us many things, Watson. And now, my dear fellow, there's something you can do for me, if you will.
Anything, Holmes?
I knew I could rely on you. I want you to mingle with the people in the cafe tonight. Find out all you can and keep a particularly sharp eye on Journet.
But you sort of take over the case.
That's right, old boy. I want to get a good night's rest before starting out again in the morning. Oh, and incidentally, make yourself as inconspicuous as possible, will you?
Inconspicuous? You can depend on me. Thank you, my dear. I'm glad to see that the tears are all gone. You feeling better?
Thanks to you and Mr. Holmes, Papa's not going away.
Not going away? Oh, good.
Journet not going away.
There are many phases of the supernatural, Mr. Drake. Witchcraft, vampires, werewolves, ghosts, monsters. You'll find them all in the history of crime. So I say to myself, Potts, this is the handiwork of the supernatural.
I I gather that your name is Potts, that you're interested in the detection of crime. Allow me to introduce myself. My name's Watson, Dr. Watson of 221B Baker Street, London, England.
How do you do, sir?
Here's to crime. Bigger and better crime.
I deduce, my good man, that you're somewhat drunk.
Yeah. Sharp he is, sharp as a tack, and just as flat-headed. You might also deduce that I'm leaving this place. Getting out. As soon as the bus I'm waiting for hoots its hooter.
I believe they say honks its hooter in these parts.
Hoots to me, honk to you. Hoot, hoot.
My dear fellow, I don't care two hoots whether it's hoot or honk.
Oh, that's my bus, gentlemen. I just heard it hoot its hooter distinctly. If you solve this case, let me know. Personally, I'm betting on the monster. You take my advice, Patsy. Get out of this place before they find you with your throat cut. Hoots! It's hooter.
Nervous?
Well, the thought of having your throat torn out by some monster isn't likely to make you very gay, Dr. Watson.
No, indeed. Some of Monsieur Journet's excellent wine will soon remedy that. Marie, would you bring a bottle of this excellent wine for my friend here?
Yes, monsieur.
Mr. Potts, as a student of the occult, supposing you give me your theory of this murder. You like this wine?
Oh, but Dr. Watson, I never drink anything stronger than milk.
Teetotaler?
No, hiccups. Every time I drink alcohol, I have hiccups.
Sorry.
Mr. Holmes. Mr. Holmes.
This circle is where the murder actually occurred.
Yes, Mr. Holmes. There's a footpath just beyond the church which leads across the marshes. Follow it for half a mile and you'll be there.
Thank you, Sergeant. I'm sure I'll find it.
Mr. Holmes, I wish you'd let me go with you. It's dangerous on the marshes at night. These swamps, one false step.
I'm sorry, Sergeant, but it's important that I go alone. I'll keep close to the path.
Well, will Dr. Watson be going with you?
No, Sergeant. I asked him to do some research work of his own, and by now he's probably magnificently involved. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Holmes.
But according to your theory, Dr. Watson, everyone in the village is under suspicion.
Pardon me.
It's quite all right.
Oh, thank you. Murder is a very interesting study, gentlemen. I well recall a short story by that brilliant author, G.K. Chesterton, in which the murder is committed by a postman. I refer, of course, to The Invisible Man, a brilliant bit of deduction on the part of Father Brown.
I'm a postman.
Precisely why I mentioned it, to illustrate the absurdity of assuming because one man in a postman's uniform is the murderer, any other man in the same uniform should be suspected.
Thanks. Had me worried for a minute.
Oh, what filthy flabbergab. A child can see that this ridiculous monster has got you all afraid of your own shadow.
I saw Lady Penrose. I wouldn't like it to happen to me.
I'll be getting on.
I'm going with you. Good night, Doctor.
Good night.
It's quite all right.